Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. Hey, if you missed something, we got you covered all 3 hours. It's going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You know what I was doing just before the start of the show? You want to talk about a continued buzz from the spring game and the excitement surrounding about what's possible. Tom, I was looking up recruiting rankings. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was looking up the 2019 recruiting class rankings where Florida State sits atop, and I was thinking, well, roll on, Big River. We got things going.
You were looking up recruiting rankings.
I know. I was of all – yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Well, I mean, listen, some things have happened lately. You know, I saw Akeem Dent, and, that was exciting. And then from there, the Goolsby kid, right, and big wide receiver. And there have been other guys. And so I figured, well, I should just catch up, see where we're at, what we're doing. And, yeah, I'm kind of excited that everybody else is excited. Let me see what all the excitement's about. Now, obviously, I was at the spring game, but Dante Lucas, the big guard that is also looking,
that's
said
right.
Yes to us. Offensive lineman, that's my thing.
Well, yes, that's perhaps what we were hoping you would change your concentration to.
We'd flip it from defensive tackle to offensive line?
Yes, please.
Well, I can't take responsibility for Dante Lucas, the kid out of Bradenton IMG. By the way, if you're wondering at home, 6'4", 327 pounds of get you some, saying yes to Florida State. I will take that. Imagine if he's 6'4", 327, nimble of foot, quick hands.
Well, I would hope so.
Get you some of that.
If you're coming here, you need to have quick everything, right?
It'll be a mantra time and again for Florida State to get back to winning a national championship, competing to win national championships. That is going to be the focus and focal point for me, is how do you recruit with the offensive line? You've got to upgrade drastically at that position. We have really struggled there for some time. You had the exception of 2013, but it hasn't been a place where you've seen consistently strong play. And when you look at the teams that you have to beat to win titles, whether it's Georgia now, who's where they're at, obviously Alabama year in and year out, but Clemson in your own backyard in the ACC in your own division, dominant defensive lines, dominant defenses in general, but really, really deep, talented defensive lines and offensive lines to boot. And, I do think we're much further along on the defensive line, have been consistently so, than we are on the offensive line. I need to see that uptick in terms of talent that you bring in up front. But I believe they've got the staff to do it. I think Willie Taggart, obviously, he and his group are going to recruit at a high level. We knew that. It was one of the reasons we wanted to hire Willie Taggart to begin with, was that this was a guy that was going to resonate with kids. He's a guy from the state of Florida, grew up a Florida State fan, was already thought to be a very, very good recruiter. See what he was doing already at Oregon when we plucked him away. So you knew, okay, you were getting a good recruiting guy, but Greg Fry was a great hire. And no matter who you talk to across the board about Greg Fry, they said he's going to do good things, but you got to give him some talent to do good things with. And so that's really, no matter what we do in terms of signing a receiver or a quarterback like we just did with Howell or whoever it is you want to look at, to me, I'm always going to come back to the offensive and defensive lines. That's what I'm going to be looking at consistently, because I think this is going to be a group that is consistently ranked in the top 5 in recruiting rankings.
Well, I don't think it's just here that we're reading reports about how great the spring weekend was and what impact Willie Taggart has had on the Florida State community. I think that's making national waves. I don't think there's any doubt about that. However, Clemson is making a lot of headlines itself for everything that it has, the quarterback position and the defensive line. So if somebody is tired of talking about one of those segment groups, they'll go to the other one. So they can have that, staying power for 10 to 15 minutes of content where you're talking about what does Dabo have coming back this year? Holy cow. My question is, because we're in the formative moments of Willie's time here, how concerned are you that we are in the ACC akin to what an LSU or an Auburn has been for some time. To Alabama in the SEC. Yeah. Because, listen, we're Florida State, and the standard is the standard. Those other programs would tell you the same thing. And it looks like what they're building there is not slowing down. As we are closing the gap, as Willie is closing the gap, it would appear that Clemson is almost speeding up a little bit, because even Jimbo outdid Clemson in recruiting rankings within the conference year after year after year, and yet somehow Clemson as a program just seemed to pass us by, and I don't know how that is.
Well, I think over the last couple of seasons in Jimbo's time here, Clemson continued to just add to what it was they were doing. And, look, we were lacking in some areas, in particular with the assistant coaches. It is abundantly clear the vast majority of the guys that were on that staff aren't wanted by anybody else. Many of them don't have jobs. You can't afford to do that. Clemson's staff is extremely well thought of. Obviously, what Dabo has done as a recruiter is self-evident, but Brent Venables, one of the elite defensive coordinators in the country, these kids are going and they're signing up to play for that guy and that group, and then they're staying, which defies logic. I mean, you literally had 4 guys decide to come back, all of whom, 3 for sure, that would have been NFL selections in the upcoming NFL draft. High selections in some cases. A couple of them certainly thought to be first-rounders choosing to come back to school, which makes zero sense, no sense. But you know how that happens? It happens when you have created something that feels like family, that feels like home, that feels like something that kids don't want to leave. And even when faced with opportunity and the chance to make a lot of money, it tugs at their heartstrings. What I'm excited about is Willie's attempting to do that very thing here. He said it was disappointing to him that when he got here, much the same as it was at Oregon, but disappointing to him that kids didn't want to hang out together. Kids weren't spending their time, their free time, not their football time, but their free time together at the facilities, whether it was working out or just hanging out. They weren't doing that. You've got to create something like that. That gets talked about. What ends up happening is the kids that go through it and they feel like family and they love one another and they're close-knit and that bond is there and they have a good time even when it's not football. Any recruiting group that you bring in next, they get told that on their visit. They get told, hey, this is awesome. This guy's your brother. You're going to hang together at all times. You got each other's back. It's going to be hard, and there's a standard you got to work to, and they expect this much out of you, and they're going to work you hard in practices. But, man, it is fun. You're going to want to, I mean, for lack of a better term, do your end. Hold up your end of the bargain. Do your part for the guy next to you. And I do think Dabo Swinney and Clemson have been able to foster that, and they have found a way now to certainly see one group hand that baton over to the next group. And it's just now kind of, after a while, you see these things that once you create it, once it's locked in, once it's part of your DNA, if you will, and the brand that you're selling, then it's easier to sell because your kids do it for you.
I don't think there was any doubt that if the same staff came back this spring and we had no
dead
change,
in the water,
that the reality of Clemson being the ACC's Alabama would be a concern. I think that now you've got yourself a fighting chance before the Tigers are entrenched. But it should get really, really interesting here because they've got a head start. Culture-wise, they've got a head start. Facility-wise, they do have a head start. So there's a bit of a gap to close here. But, if we recruit the way Willie is indicating that he's going to be recruiting,
and it's already started.
Well, the key Saturday in the fall, where you can start bragging rights once again and we can get off the schneid here, it's not 5 years away. It's a year or 2 away. Hell, it's a play or 2 away these last couple of seasons, and we weren't operating anywhere close to where Clemson was from a detail standpoint. It's very interesting because the balance of power, I feel, Clemson isn't just it's not just their moment right now in our rivalry. It's appearing that it's coming close to being their moment in the sport. And that's the hard part here.
It's very scary, man. And I've talked about what they've been able to do. It didn't sneak up on us. We saw the level of consistency that they had. I mean, it's ridiculous to watch how, they get to a college football playoff, narrowly defeated by Alabama, come back and win the national championship, beat Alabama, and they, of course, blow out Ohio State in the process. A lot of significant wins along the way. Of course, I'll grant you some real close losses for us against them in that stretch, but they're still winning those games, continuing to recruit well. When they get an opportunity on a national showcase game, even outside the conference, say against Auburn, they win those games too. And then, again, even when you lose a Deshaun Watson, you're able to come back the following year and play to the level that they did with a guy who's not nearly as talented at quarterback. And that's because you have a depth of talent at every other position group, including that defensive line.
Well, again, that's where I get concerned, and I feel like it might be speeding up just a little bit. Because, again, when we talked about recruiting and how good, certain coaches were for a long time there under Jimbo, it's Alabama, then it's probably Ohio State with Urban, and then it's us. I mean, not Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't involved in that discussion, but the cool factor is only growing there, and tradition is only being formed there. They don't have the tradition we do, not even close.
No.
And that's why Willie is pushing that button and pushing that button a bunch. He's mashing it to the point where he says, look, decades.
This is always about
decades.
Players. Think about what's going on with Miami. What did Mark Richt do right away?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, look, I'm back. I played here. I'm from here, and we have tradition to be proud of, including national championships and great players from yesteryear. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to attempt, even though we have some disadvantages from a facility standpoint and all that, I'm going to attempt to build a wall back around South Florida, and I'm going to keep these kids at home, and we're going to win football games. And he appealed to that, right, that history, that trick. Well, we'll see. They took a big step forward. They also struggled down the stretch, and they had a quarterback who ended up, in Malik Rozier, completing less than 50% of his passes in the last 4 games, and they went on a 3-game losing streak, including losing the bowl game to Wisconsin. But they're a team that I think, took a step forward, finally ended the losing streak against Florida State. But it's in the balance, right? But Rick is trying to do what you're describing. Obviously, we'll see what Dan Mullen ends up doing at Florida. Willie is doing that here at Florida State. If you get players and you win football games, you can unseat, derail a Clemson, and you can do it quickly.
Before it gets really impenetrable, yes.
What's hard, though, is that you need to win that game, and soon. And I don't think, from an offensive line standpoint, we're equipped to win that game currently. So how quickly can you rectify that situation? That's what has me checking the recruiting rankings. And anytime we get an offensive lineman, I go, ooh, all right, that's what I want to see.
All right, that's a big name.
Yes. I mean, we're trying to win some football games around here, Tom. Things have to be done.
All right, that's a big name.
To rectify a situation with the front 5 that is lacking, to say the least. And things get done. Now, I'm not suggesting you do something unsavory. I'm not saying you do something outside the rule book. But, it's an ugly minefield that is the world of recruiting.
Right. But there are some very simple things that you can do that may be lethal to our rivals.
Well, one thing is for sure, you can help mitigate some of the problems you have on the offensive line. Formationally, you can give them opportunities to succeed where they wouldn't be able to just line up and beat you down and drive people off the ball and win short yardage situations and dominate in the red zone. You can do some things to help them, and I think year 1, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a simplicity to what they're asked to do. I think we're going to shy away from asking the center to be all things to all people all the time and play at a Hall of Fame level, the likes of which Tom Brady would be proud of. I think we're going to probably dial that back just a little bit. Seems to me that would be a smart decision because we haven't been able to find a guy as capable at that position as Brian Stork was.
Well, and also, what do you do year to year? If you have a weakness on your team, you try to mask it as best as possible. That's just, probably the common sense thing to do in that moment.
That is what you do.
Yeah.
Well, and you're going to be able to mask it in a lot of cases. And listen, you've got a loaded backfield and you got a lot of things going for you that if you can just get a modicum of decent play from that group, you're going to win a lot of games. You just are because you have skill position players for days. Think about this receiving core right now. And I know we're all still a buzz, and certainly I am from the spring game, but, Naquan Murray didn't even play in that game. So throw in a Nooney Murray to go along with a Tamaron Terry, to go along with a DJ Matthews, to go along with a Keith Gavin. I don't know if you get anything out of George Campbell, but God forbid he's healthy and a George Campbell's back. And you go on, you've got talent for days. You got guys you've moved to that position. You've got a stable of running backs that are the envy of college football. I think you've got competent quarterbacks. You're not where you want to be at the quarterback position here. You got to recruit better. You don't, Jimbo, certainly some of that was a mistake. Some of that was a whiff. Some of that was just dumb luck, bad luck, I would say. I mean, you couldn't have known that DeAndre Johnson was going to do what he did, which
Correct.
really hurt you. And Francois is, getting hurt. That didn't help. Also, he hasn't been a great team leader, so we'll see if he can get his head on straight. But you got to get better at that position. But you've got enough for now to win the coin flip games. And the coin flip games are what? Virginia Tech. The coin flip game is Miami on the road. The coin flip game, I guess I would say perennially, is Florida, although we win that most of the time. But that's going to be a better coach team than normal. So maybe you throw Florida in the coin flip game.
Maybe, but the thing is that Mullen has to do so much more. That's where this is a retooling and not a rebuilding. Willie walked into a situation where, Jimbo did let go the 18 class, but beyond that or before that, no, man, he was hauling in some serious players.
Just not on the offensive line. But yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
I mean, that's going to continue to bother me. But again, so what is, as we move forward into the offseason, and nobody likes to talk about that, what is a reasonable expectation as to what can be done in year one? Sure, it sounds exciting. Saturday night was exciting. But Virginia Tech, game one, coin flip game, I believe that. At Louisville, I like us. I wouldn't classify it as a coin flip game now that Lamar Jackson's gone, but it is not a guaranteed win. At Miami the following week, I might add, down in Miami Gardens, Miami is going to have a very good defense. They may not have a quarterback, but they're going to have a very good defense. We don't have a very good offensive line. Road game, rivalry game, coin flip game. Clemson here, Clemson's favorite. Okay, at NC, I don't know where your head's at with NC State. At NC State,
they lost a lot. I mean, I get it. They look like that they're building something nice.
Transfer coming in at quarterback. We'll see. I think he's from Arizona State. At Notre Dame. Ooh, that's I mean, that's a tough coin flip game for sure.
Playing a lot of good defenses this year.
Coin flip game.
That's where when we first made the change, I said the defense is going to be the thing that will make this a successful season, or not our defense, because we're playing so many good ones as we're trying to learn a new offense.
I want to shift gears big time, but before I do, and we'll do that in a second, I'll switch over to baseball. The Boston College game this year on the 17th of November, the game before you play Florida, I know it's here. I have some trepidation about that as we sit here today. They are going to challenge your manhood. They're going to challenge who you are and whether you're tough enough and big enough. And we're a little undersized at linebacker, and we don't have the same depth on the defensive line that we've had. It's still an area of strength. But this is going to be one of Adazio's better teams. They've got upwards of 10 linemen combined on both sides of the ball that have played significant snaps. You know how you've been with me when I've interviewed him time and again, and he talks about building guys to that place where they can have a great season. Well, they managed to win 7 games a year ago, but he's got that group, an experienced group up front. They feel better about what they have at quarterback. Obviously, they got a great running back. You can run the football, and he's a grown-ass man.
Okay, so I see what you're doing. You're coming down from the spring game, and if I had to give you option A, 10-2, option B, 8-4, and I ask you what's more likely, you're going with option B.
I am. But I think they're going to do better than that. I think 9-3 is more likely. But, yes, if you gave me those two options, I'm taking 8-4. And people don't want to hear that. But we got to – we're talking here. We're talking honest. We like to talk honest with each other.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
And sometimes a little white lie is not a bad thing.
Let me tell you something. All the scheme in the world can't help you overcome certain things in the trenches. And so that group could get a lot better, could be better coaching.
You didn't see it the way it's drawn up with what personnel we do have.
Right. You didn't see it. And so maybe it happens this fall, and that's what you're going to have to look to. They get these guys in shape, they get these guys back healthy, and maybe it's worlds better. But if it's not, and let's just be real honest, a lot of the guys you're asking to come back and play well and to be part of that group, they didn't play well when they were healthy. They weren't good when they were out there. So when we say, well, we were missing them and, we didn't get to see, well, yeah, but, what we have seen isn't all that impressive.
Right. Just get, have 3 and outs in your first 4 drives of the season, and you can go, ooh, whoa.
We find some Junior college transfers is what I'm saying.
We're down 10-0. I mean, that should be easy to come back from. And
Junior college transfers that like to eat at the Bama table.
I'd like a first down.
That are waiting. They can't wait to get over here to Tallahassee. Maybe they're out there. Who knows? Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag savings.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
This afternoon and made an appointment for one to come out to the house.
Wait, what? Have you lost your mind? Auditors? Why would you call them? Now we have to find our tax returns, paycheck stubs, and financial records, not to mention all those forms. Good grief.
Relax, honey. It's not that kind of auditor.
It's not?
No. I called the City of Tallahassee Utilities and scheduled a free energy audit.
Energy audit?
Right. It's when an energy auditor from our own utilities comes out to the house, examines the structure, and checks our energy and water systems, and then recommends changes we might make to save energy, water, and money.
And you said it's free?
Absolutely. It's free from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, our own utilities.
Sounds good to me. Let's save some money.
If you're a City of Tallahassee residential, electric, and natural gas customer, you can schedule a free energy audit. Call 891-4YOU. That's 891-4968. And schedule your free energy audit at a time most convenient for you. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, your own utilities.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
The weather's getting warmer, and that means it's time to start working on your yard. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up a Super Start Lawn and Garden Battery starting at $24.99. Springtime means yard work, so stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start Lawn and Garden Battery you can count on. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Tired of your normal two-piece kit? Makita and Cornerstone are back together with a better-than-ever offer. Purchase a Makita brushless premium hammer drill and impact kit and receive your choice of a free bare tool, plus a free 6-amp-hour battery. That's a total of 3 batteries, a $150 value. Not to mention, buy any 3 Makita brushless tools and get a free starter kit, 1 tool bag, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and 1 dual-bay charger. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Ave or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
You're locked in with The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio. By the way, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock tonight, some of the headlines. So when we get to the end of this hour, we'll turn it on over Fun show today, obviously, and so is today here this hour. Now, one thing we don't get into in Seminole Headlines all that much, save for a segment, was something that's been weighing on me lately, and it's admittedly more of a vibe than anything else, which is, not real concrete. I got you. I understand. That's so you're playing a hunch here, Jeff? No, just a feel. I hate, and I know they're right now mired in a 5-game losing streak. We got a couple of questions that were sent to us, both email and then also for the Seminole Headlines crew, and I realized that I didn't really fully vet them, that centered around Florida State baseball. And the questions, some of them were alluding to whether or not Florida State will get a top 8 national seed, and obviously in the midst of a 5-game losing streak, you sometimes you raise an eyebrow and say, well, it's not looking good. I know they're outside the top 10 in RPI currently, no matter where you look. But if you're just outside that top 10, and they are, you have an opportunity to fight your way back. There's still plenty of games left to play on the schedule, and every season features a patch where you don't play well. So to have the conversation in the midst of a 5-game losing streak may seem a bit reactionary. I'll admit that. But I don't like that you're in a situation with Florida State baseball, it feels like to me, and I'm noting the lack of coverage for Florida State baseball, whether it be on this show or some of the outlets that used to routinely write game stories and cover Florida State baseball are doing so less and less. And I kind of asked around about that some, and it seems to me that there's just a lack of buzz. And that's the feeling I get. There's just a lack of enthusiasm for Florida State baseball that I'm not accustomed to. I understand that it's always had, to some effect, to some degree, a polarizing effect on the fan base for those that don't think Martin will ever win a championship and believe that there's some sort of personality flaw that leads to that, and those that say, wait a minute, you can't win all the games that he's won and had all the moments that have elevated this program to an iconic status without being able to win big games and knowing what you're doing. So that argument has existed for a long time, and I've always kind of put that on the periphery and just that I'm not going to engage in that silliness. The numbers are the numbers. Record speaks for itself. But I do feel some disappointment in that because I admit I feel this way. So I'm confessing that I'm with the people who don't feel jazzed about Florida State baseball. I'm admitting I feel that way too. I think some of it, at least with this year's squad, and not really tying it into any given season, not last year when we were frustrated because of injuries and other problems that they had. They did some things poorly last year, but they got it together in the nick of time and went on a great run. I'm not even going to take this season connected to that season. I'm just going to say this team, they don't do any one thing real well. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that I don't see. Last year they got healthy and they had guys like Busby and they had guys like Taylor Walls and they had some guys that when they played well could really make that thing go. But man, they don't hit well. They're terrible in situations. They don't pitch exceptionally well. The bullpens come back down to earth. Cole Sands, who unfortunately had to be elevated to a 1, and that's no fault of the coaches. You lost a kid in Tyler Holton, who, by the way, that could also be part of the problem. You lost a local kid who everybody loved, who was really good and was going to play a key role for your team. But you got a starter now who's your ace, who's, he gives up 3 runs in the first inning on the regular. I just don't know what they do all that well, and maybe that's why there's a lack of sort of belief that everything's going to work out all right this year. And I hate that that's married to such an iconic and significant event that's on the horizon. Like, you've got a coach who's about to pass. Now, they got to start winning games again, and they will. The all-time wins record, and I feel no life to this thing. There's no pizzazz. There's nothing. It feels like, and I know some in the fan base probably feel like they're being held hostage, which is not fair. But I know that exists. I know that feeling exists, and it's talked about pretty frequently.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to it to unpack here, just like we were talking about, but we're coming at it from a different place than last week, where I said, personally for me, it's just not, a top priority at this moment, given that we had spring football when we were talking last week.
Right.
That, for me, the hockey playoffs is a big deal. Then you had the Masters, and the basketball team made the Elite Eight. There was just a lot to take away from what is typically a focal point in April. You know, you got a new head coach here with football. 60,000+ people just showed up to support that head coach. You had a basketball team that, you know, if you didn't pay attention to our basketball program, you were forced to because we made it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. There's a lot happening right now, and I think
that's true too. Yeah,
that takes away from the front end of what Florida State baseball season usually gets from in the attention department. Then you add in the injury to Holton, who's your star two-way player, the Ohtani of the Noles, if you will. And you have a losing streak to Florida that goes on and on and on and on. So there's a lot of these things that, you know, at least from the micro perspective, take away what attention Florida State baseball typically gets. But then from the macro perspective, and I don't think this is something that just fans feel, we feel stuck. We feel like we're caught in the middle. I think there are coaches, plural, and you might be able to guess who they are, over there at the baseball facility that say, can we announce a line of succession here? Can we announce what the next step is going to be?
It's a terrible way to try to recruit against a rival who is in the midst of a glorious run and who beats you every year routinely, and you don't have an answer for recruits. You don't have a way to tell them, well, this is the plan. I agree, and I think that's all part of it.
Well, yeah, and if you're on the brink of somebody being the all-time winningest in the history of the sport, what's the natural question? Well, what's next? Who is next? And that's something that baseball office has been asking for some time now. So I think enthusiasm might be dampened even from that end of the equation. Usually it's, well, it's a media-driven thing. You know, they don't care anymore. Or it's a fan-driven thing. They're not coming anymore. But when you get it from coaches on top of it, and every point of the equation kind of feels the same thing, we're caught in the middle here, that's when sometimes things can feel stale. And then throw in a 5-game losing streak in the middle of all of it.
Right. Yeah, I do think it is all of those things, a confluence of events, as I'm fond of saying. I do think it would be helpful, and maybe after he gets the record, it will be announced. I think it would be helpful in recruiting. It would give you a chance to stand on even footing to some degree when you're out there hitting the road trying to recruit. If you had a plan, a certifiable plan as to what was going to happen next. But I don't know what's going to happen next. My guess is Mike Martin Jr. will be the next head coach at Florida State. When that is announced, I don't know. I think they'll do a coaching search. They're going to do that for sure. I think some of this will be political. We know that. I mean, there are camps there. There are those who say no way, and there are those who say absolutely. And I think there will be more that say absolutely, and their dollars will go a long way in helping influence the decision. I also think Mike Martin Jr. is more than qualified, to say the least, and it's not anything close to the same situation as we had with Bowden and his son, although a lot of people like to equate those things. It's not. But who's to say Mike Martin's retiring?
Right.
So,
well, that's part of the announcement and the line of succession.
But that's also part of the problem I think we have right now is that nobody's real sure that's going to happen.
Right.
And it just doesn't do a lot to engender enthusiasm. And again, I'm not the guy that, presses the panic button at first sign things are going wrong, and I'm not the guy that flips out and argues after every loss or every misstep, but I certainly will be a guy that is willing to admit at this point that there's just nothing right now going on with Florida State baseball that excites the fan base. You can sense that.
If you had something in writing or some kind of announcement, then you have a send-off date, then you have, you know what I mean? Like you have little appointments that you can make for yourself.
Yeah.
And things to look forward to. Now, this is a team that's, a winning streak away from being back in position for a national seed, and there's that whole Omaha thing that gets people pretty excited too.
Without question.
For me, and
winning solves a lot of problems. Without question.
Yeah, where I was coming from last week was from two places at the same time. One was, in this moment, I'm too distracted to really hyper-focus on baseball. And the second part was, well, I don't know what direction we're going long-term. So it's hard. Like, you buy into a vision, right? We're not buying into Willie Taggart because it's just going to be for the 2018 football season. We're buying into a multi-year vision.
Yeah.
And that's where this is hard. I could remember being at we lost, I think it was a super regional. This is probably 6-7 years ago now, and Mike Martin sitting in the tradition room and saying, this is, going to be one of my last ones, so this one was a hard one to take. This loss.
I remember that too.
And I thought, whoa.
Wow. Yeah,
so
he took it hard, and
we've got a year or two left of this, and here we are in 2018. So I can understand if there's frustration saying, well, I'm not sure he's ever going to retire. I get that because I was certain that time was, oh, well, we're going to have an announcement here soon.
And the way that sounds is, I mean, it's a little bit loaded in the way that you say it, right? Like, I'm not sure he's ever going to retire. Like, there's a whole – I'm not saying you're saying this, but just that alone sounds like a large contingent of people going, and I would like that to happen yesterday.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm just saying communicate.
But I also think that group is growing, and I think the lack – it's certainly not helping the baseball program what's going on down there in Gainesville. It's not helping because there is a growing sense of urgency coupled with real frustration in real time on the field. Like you're losing to them every time you play them. That losing streak is getting very old. Even in a nutshell, when we say it's a random Tuesday event, you cannot lose as many times as Florida State has, both in a row and in a large sample size of more than 20 games, and not have that weigh on people. It just serves to further exacerbate the situation. And they are kicking ass and recruiting to boot, so it's not like you're getting closer or there's no sense that you're getting closer. And you feel a little handcuffed because, admittedly, and this is a fair criticism, it's true of any program that has an aging coach in any sport. You're at a disadvantage usually when that happens in recruiting because, frankly, recruiting is brutal. It is a young man's game. You're on the road incessantly. You have got to be able to keep up and go and travel incessantly and all those things that older coaches just aren't going to do. And so you're at a disadvantage because now you're down a coach, in essence, in recruiting, which is the one thing that could get you back to where you want to be. And all of that being said, they made the College World Series last year and finished 6th in the country. And that's not lost on me. So I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm describing a program that's bereft of hope and isn't doing anything to succeed on the playing field, because they are. They were just in the College World Series. They didn't lose at home 30-0 Wake Forest, where we all go, well, this is self-evident.
Well,
I mean,
And if the analogy held, the Bowden situation would have looked like this. We were giving up 40 points a week, and Jeff Bowden's offense was the only reason that we were, consistently fighting and staying afloat and becoming bowl eligible year after year.
Right.
It was,
like if that worked, yeah.
That's what baseball is closer to than what actually happened, what's actually happening out there on the diamond. It's that we've had pitching issues over the last decade. If you're just looking at this big picture, we've had to make a change at that coaching position. Mm-hmm. Mike Bell comes in to relieve what was somebody who just wasn't getting it done when it came
Who's now doing great things at Florida A&M.
Which is wonderful.
Right.
That's wonderful, but a change needed to be made, and there was no doubt about it. While we were, getting on base at a top clip in the country, pitching wasn't getting it done. So this is not the same thing. It couldn't be more different from a father-son perspective.
No, it's not the same thing at all. And again, further proof of that is they just went to the College World Series. They just finished 6th in the country. They just got done having that season, even in the midst of really struggling for the better part of that season. And that same thing could happen here. Florida State, we play Stetson tonight, Stetson tomorrow, both home games here in Tallahassee. And then it's on the road to Boston College. And you could get on a winning streak. Let's just put it that way. You could start to see this turn around, win 5 straight, and all of a sudden maybe there's this infusion of life a little bit, especially as we get closer and closer to 11 breaking the all-time wins record, whom he may be able to get that against Miami. And if that happened in a home series against Miami, I mean, there would be a buzz that doesn't exist right now. I agree with that, and let's hope that happens. But I am willing to talk aloud about the fact that I lament that there's just a feeling of being in limbo. It feels like the program is in limbo. And there's no accounting for that, right? The feeling.
No, but it's okay. The year is 2023. Who's the head man, and what's our identity, and where are we playing, and what do our facilities look like? I mean,
well, by the way, that's another good point. I think another thing that helps serve to get me down is that I really always viewed, and to some extent still do, Florida State baseball as one of the, 7 or 8 best programs in all of college baseball, and as thought of that way by the other elite programs in college baseball. And as such, I always felt great pride in walking into Dick Howser Stadium, Mike Martin Field. It was first of all, for years, I always thought it was one of the most charming parks in all of college baseball. It had a uniqueness to it that was all its own, and when you went into other ballparks, they felt so cookie-cutter compared to Dick Howser Stadium, Mike Martin Field. But to see within our own conference so many of the other programs who don't have near the lore or tradition that Florida State does, having surpassed them in the realm of facilities, and to play in a much nicer park, is another thing that only adds to the disappointment and the feeling that baseball is falling off, if you will. Like to look around and see what Wake has done or Clemson's done or what other schools in the conference, Virginia and North Carolina and others have done, it certainly seems almost unfair given what Florida State's been in the ACC compared to those programs.
Right. It's like, where's the money?
Yeah.
If they can dredge it up.
Right. Like, how are they doing it?
And
We're
yet,
not doing it?
Even in truth, it's not affecting the results at all at the moment. But if you're looking at it, the AD is like a GM, right? So he looks at the long-term perspective. There's concern there. But in the short term, I mean, we like this recruiting class we just brought in, pitching-wise, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, I get the bullpen struggling of late, but there's a lot to work with there. It looks like we have some swing and miss stuff. I mean, that's something we were championing 3-4 weeks ago. I don't think that changes. It's just that you're going to go through peaks and valleys in a season. And that just happens to coincide with 2 or 3 other macro things that are going on, like Florida being great and us not knowing who the hell the next head coach is going to be.
You know, you were saying about it's not having an effect on the field, but Virginia won a national championship in college baseball. You know, and they it's
well, but Virginia's been good for me for a lot bigger percentage of my life.
Yeah,
you know, Holton wasn't last year. Holton was a long time ago now, and those teams were, whoo.
Yeah, but that was 2015, right? So I mean,
was it? Oh man, I thought Holton pitched.
No,
back.
I'm saying Virginia's national championship was 2015, and I don't know. I just I do. I feel tired. I feel exacerbated. I do. I feel worn out. Like, and I've never felt that way about baseball. And maybe I'm just spitballing and trying to figure it out on the fly here.
Maybe coming down from the spring game too, and all the excitement that was. Well, I mean, you think about it. It's a 6-week run where the basketball program gets you nervous about potentially going to the Final Four. Willie Taggart hits on every right note. I mean, he plays that thing. It's like he read the sheet music the first time and he hit every note perfectly.
Yeah, he did. No,
and
you're right.
Now we're coming down from all that, and it's like, all right, now we're the second best team in our state, and it's not even close. And Florida's better than us as a program. It's going to be a while before we beat them, it feels like, even though baseball is a funny game. 11's going to be the all-time winningest coach, but I don't know what the future
holds. That's really what it is. I mean, there's no definitive plan right now.
You're thrilled about the basketball program, and you like the direction it's going. We're thrilled about the football program. We think it's going in a good direction, and baseball is just kind of...
just there. It's just kind of there. Yeah, I think that summarizes it. Thank you. I don't know if anybody needed that therapy but me. but maybe it was relatable to somebody in their car thinking the same thing on their way over to the ballpark, or if they're on their way over to the ballpark right now, they're really big fans.
Yes.
Because that game doesn't start till 6.
It lubed up for the Stetson game.
You got time, do you? You got a little time, Die Hard. It's Jeff Cameron Show. We'll come back, wrap it up momentarily before heading to Seminole Headlines.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Landowners, your Mahindra dealer is ready to help you save during Mahindra's Red Tag sale. Enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties still come standard. So hurry in for Mahindra's Red Tag savings.
When When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Savings. Visit TNTSupercenter.com to view selection.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
In Thomasville, Georgia.
Truck drivers, check this out. Kraft Nissan in Tallahassee took a brand new Nissan Titan and a brand new F-150 around town, parked them side by side with a compare sign between them. The results were crazy. People couldn't stop checking out the Titan. They looked under the hood, sat behind the wheel, and called friends on the phone, took pictures. So if you have not seen the new Nissan Titan, you need to come see what you're missing. There are a lot of reasons why Truck Trends magazine named the Nissan Titan the 2017 Truck of the Year. In head-to-head comparisons versus F-150, Titan has better handling, better 0 to 60 acceleration, more horsepower, more torque, and frankly, it's better looking. And the topper? Titan costs less than F-150. TruckYow.com joked that the Nissan Titan XD is the best F-150 you can buy. In April, save up to $10,000 off MSRP on Nissan Titans at Kraft. This Nissan Town Tallahassee may soon be turning into a Titan Town too. Kraft Nissan near Costco on Mahan Drive.
Looking for a new place to watch your favorite sporting events? Hobbit American Grill with 3 locations to choose from. Just show them your stub. That's right, your ticket stub from any local sporting event for $1 pints and $3 crafts. BOGO Mondays every Monday with 50% off specials. Like or follow on Facebook to get all the details. PS4 tourneys, trivia, karaoke, darts, and more. Lots of daily lunch specials under $8. Happy hour specials daily and happy hour all day on Friday. The Hobbit American Grill.
Coup de Gras is your favorite New Orleans-style bar in the middle of Midtown Tallahassee. And now they're serving food with signature dishes like Remy Shrimp Bread Bowls and Shrimp Po' Boys. Happy hours from 4 to 8 Monday through Friday, and Coup de Gras features karaoke on Tuesdays, live music on Fridays, and DJ Gant is spinning the tunes on Saturday. Crew is open 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. And coming soon, brunch will be served on Sundays. Check out the brand new, exciting menu at Coup de Gras, 1304 North Monroe Street, or give them a call today at 200-0114.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
Now, it's time for your Atlanta Braves update.
Monday night at SunTrust Park, the Braves took the first of a 3-game series from the Phillies by a score of 2-1. Both teams would trade runs in the first inning, Philly getting on the board on a solo homer from Odubel Herrera, while the Braves got the equalizer as Ender Inciarte singled and later scored on a Freddie Freeman double play. Then in the bottom of the fourth, Ozzie Albies scored on a 1-out sac fly from Kurt Suzuki. That would be all the run support Julio Teheran needed, as he allowed 1 earned run on 5 hits over 6 innings with a season-high 9 strikeouts. Afterwards, Teheran talked about the keys for his success.
You know, whenever I throw first pitch strike, it's a different game, like I always say it, and that's something that I've been working on today. It was pretty high. I feel like every hit that I faced, it was first strike, and you know, that's advantage. You can do whatever you want, and that's what I was able to do today.
Braves will now give the ball to Mike Fulton-Nevich tonight as they look for another series win, while the Phillies counter with fellow right-hander Nick Pivetta. Hear the call live from SunTrust Park right here on the Braves Radio Network. First pitch is set for 7:35 p.m. Eastern. With the Braves, I'm Kevin McAlpin for the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
Live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
A sizable slate of baseball games tonight. If that's your cup of tea, you're in luck. Knock on wood, these games get played. Tom, you got your wish, by the way. As an aside, I know it was just more of a human thing than anything else. Yes, you would have preferred the Lightning win last night, but by not doing so, looks like you'll be attending a game of hockey in the flesh, brother.
Yeah, it's a be careful what you wish for kind of deal. I wasn't rooting hard for it, but when it happened, I said, all right, well, I'm either going to watch a game on Saturday in Tampa at Amalie Arena where there's potential for a handshake line at the end because we won the series, or I'm going to be on the edge of my seat because the series is 2-2 and you have to wrangle control back. So it'll be interesting.
And it got a little testy. So, now we got a little bit of what for going on this thing.
Across the playoffs, again, PSA for you folks out there, there's a lot of chippy play going on right now. Pittsburgh, Philly will always have it. Toronto, Boston has a ton of it. And now New Jersey, Tampa, apparently they hate each other. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Such is life. Has to happen. Probables, baseball. Let's do this thing.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Royals, Jays, Danny Duffy, Joe Biagini. Garcia and Tanaka will face off when the Marlins take on the Yankees. We got Orioles and Tigers, Andrew Kashner, Francisco Liriano. Hello, Francisco. Colorado, as they're known. Faced by Pirates, Trevor Williams on the bump for the Buccos. Chad Bettis, diabetes, going for the Rockies. Indians, Twins, Corey Kluber, Jake Odorizzi. Rangers, Rays, Matt Moore, Yanni Chirinos. I don't know Yanni. He allowed a run in, one run? He has not allowed a run in 14 1/3 innings, the longest scoreless streak ever for a Rays pitcher to begin his career, and I don't even know who he is. Did you know who he was?
Do you like Chirinos? I don't know. Never tried him before.
He's really good.
He's a pitcher?
Nats, Mets, Gio Gonzalez, Zach Wheeler, your favorite.
Yeah, well, that's a 2-game losing streak.
He got off to a stretch.
I know. Well, you're up 6-1 in the 8th. Sweet. Jesus.
Phillies, Braves, Nick Pivetta, Mike Foltynewicz.
Well, that means you're 3 for 4 for the season.
Yeah, oopsie. Reds, Brewers, Sal Romano, Junior Guerrera. We've got the Cardinals and the Cubs, Adam Wainwright and Tyler Chatwood. Giants, D-backs, Johnny Cueto, Patrick Corbin. White Sox, A's, Miguel Gonzalez and Trevor Cahill. Red Sox, Angels, David Price and Shohei Ohtani.
How old is Trevor Cahill?
Trevor Cahill.
Like he's been around for a minute.
You know what you're going to make me do here? You're going to make me look up old Trevor Cahill. He's only 30 years old, Tom.
Really?
Only 30 years old. Feels older than that, though. I will concur.
Must have debuted at 19.
Astros, Mariners, Lance McCullers Jr. and Ariel Miranda. We've got Dodgers, Padres to close out the evening. You got to really like baseball. Alex Wood and Brian Mitchell, and that's a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
I'm just glad to be here.
Got some suggestions for Big Daddy J tonight out of the NHL, good sir?
Well, let's see. Tonight includes the Winnipeg, Minnesota series that I've seen every second of.
Which you are absolutely abhorrent to say. You're tired of that, right?
Yeah. I'd take Winnipeg in that game. And let's
Winnipeg leads that series 2-1, folks.
Columbus, Washington, right, is another game that plays tonight. That's game 3 of their series. I would take Columbus in that one. And then you got Vegas going for the sweep later on.
How about Vegas, huh? Going for the sweep, the Knights, and they're facing L.A., right? In L.A.?
Yeah. I think that one's over, too. I think Vegas will close it out tonight.
You got the closeout. All right.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well. I don't know. Big Daddy's just taking a respite. I haven't really felt compelled in these opening round matchups. I do think I will take the Lightning in the next game. I like that the ire was raised.
Well, and there was plenty to clean up about the game. If you watch it for shift, and that's shift for shift. That's what.
Yes, it was shift for shift.
Yes. There was a little too much East-West. It's easy to clean up what they did wrong, and they did it in games 1 and 2 the correct way. So I would think that, yeah, you'll see a response.
All right.
Yes.
Good, solid response. Good work out of you. Coming up next, Seminole Headlines. Good work, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay tuned. 2 hours of Corey killing Jimbo Fisher next on Seminole Headlines. It's actually funny.